It's on the MMO online communities and as we
MMO online communities. Yeah. Listen, if your life is so bad, if it's so terminally bad that you know you're useless and that's just how it is, and you've tried every avenue, then by all means get into an MMO community. But all the socializing, and I was gonna make a separate video with this, but all the socializing is poisonous. You're wasting so much time, and I see it. And it's not just Zoomers on the internet. I see it everywhere. I go into a jiu-jitsu gym, and you know what I want? Jiu-jitsu. Can I just hold off on the $10 donations? Let me just get through this point. So I go to a jiu-jitsu gym. I shower. I put on my outfit. It takes me only 15 minutes to drive here, but getting to and from the car, that's 5 minutes. This whole thing is a 2-hour ordeal. I get there, and the actual instruction, the actual class, the actual learning is 20 minutes of stuff, if that. You come in, and when you leave, there's the warm-up and the cool-down, and that consists of walking around other guys, socializing. Hey, man, you see that Eddie Alvarez fight? You see Matt Poncho? Yeah, oh, man, he got him in that armbar. That was incredible, dude. Hold on, I got my Rogan on it in my bag. You tried this, dude? Dude, you tried this? It's the new On It Black label, bro. That stuff's serious. Yeah, I got a home gym every fucking time. Same thing at the gym. I'm going to lift. I want to put my headphones on. I want to zone out. I want to be in the zone. Hey, man, you see that fight? He blasted him with a right hand, dude. It was amazing. And it's the same fucking thing no matter what you're into, what your interest is. This is fine if you're a woman and you're learning about yoga or vitamins or breastfeeding, and you're a woman and you want to talk to other women because that's how women stir their brain and get off. That's not you. That's another sector. That's another zone. That's out here. If you're a man, at some point you actually have to fucking do something and stop talking about it. Okay? And this is like the number one time sink for everybody who hits me up, and it's the problem that anytime I'm trying to do something and get roped into some 15-minute conversation about how good this X, Y, and Z was. What was the original question?
What, me?
Yeah.
You asking me?
Yeah.
Dude, I have no fucking clue what's going on right now.
The original question. Oh, MMO communities.
Yeah, MMO communities.
Okay.
Socializing.
So yeah, socializing online. Oh my God. I know that it's very hard to find friends. I'm an outgoing person. I'm a popular person. It's taken me a decade. It's taken me my entire adult life to amass the sort of collection of people that I think are worthwhile. That's taken my entire adult life. And I'm like, people reach out to me and want to talk to me. I understand how lonely it can be, how hard it is, how, the wilderness out there. You step outside your mom's house and it's ice cold. It is a bleak nuclear winter. I get that, but you have to monitor what's actually happening when you go on one of these communities, including MDE community, whatever. Even if it's
my daughter
based around a positive thing, you just have to monitor where your time is actually going and how meaningful the relationships you're actually building are. That's what I would say. You have to be careful with this online socialization stuff. It's just a time sink. You can resume sending $10 donations now. What was this silly bastard saying?
We got Zach with $20. How long did it take to put together How to Bomb?
I think maybe a year and a half or something to get it like typeset and compiled and printed maybe over 2 years, just because there were these various like one phase couldn't begin until the next phase ended, you know.
We got Jay with $20. Happy holidays, Sam. What are your thoughts on conjoined twins? And what are your thoughts on that delusional twin flame?
Delusional twin flame what?
Redditors?
I have no thoughts about that. And it sounds like something that you'd be better off purging from your memory banks.
We got Sweaty Sock Man with $20. I'm a young guy with a lot of social anxiety.
More like sweaty cock, man. Maybe that's why people don't like you. Because you have a sweaty cock.
The type of shit where you feel fight or flight when you're about to be called in on class. Called on in class. It feels inescapable tips and tricks.
I think that might be inescapable. Social anxiety, fight or flight when called on in class. I think that is pretty inescapable. Or is it? I don't know, man. What did I do? I guess my way when I had social anxiety, I never had it that bad, but when I had it, I would solve it by lashing out and having a public freak out and like being funny, you know, which I think worked. People definitely didn't want to like be my friend, but they did want me around, and it was because I would be funny whenever I felt that social anxiety or whatever. But you'll grow out of it. I don't think it's something you need to. A lot of things. Listen, man. A lot of things. I'm 19 years old. How do I do this list of 25 things that are not the main point and are going to solve themselves anyway, right? Like a lot of problems are like this. They're in this category, like they're unsolvable, and they take care of themselves in 10 years anyway. So think about 10 years from now. You're going to be 10 years older. Your social anxiety will probably be, unless you're a fucking freak, in which case you can't be helped anyway. In 10 years, when you're 30, you're not going to have social anxiety. So just focus on whatever's going to make your 10-year outlook the best. And don't worry about this shit that like is essentially just, it's happening because you have acne and you have hormones kicking around and you're just in a weird spot. Like if you're in class, fuck being in class. I would never go to a class. And if I did go to a class, I'd own that bitch. Like if they put me in a class right now, hey, what's up? I'm Sam Hyde. I own this class. If anybody has a fucking problem, you suck. Understand? Teach. Get kicked out immediately. But like what I'm saying is you're in a weird artificial position. Like you have to go to a class. That fucking sucks. Like there's nothing normal or cool about going to a class. It fucking sucks. So even if you didn't have social anxiety, you'd have some other thing that's bothering you about the class. So just get the most out of where you are right now, get the most out of it, and just worry about your 10-year outlook and any problems you have. Think, is this a problem? Am I going to solve this? Am I going to watch YouTube videos about social anxiety and mewing and get one of those Jawser size thing and suddenly I'm going to be an alpha Chad? Or should I just worry about how to be the most self-actualized, richest, well-off, in-shape 30-year-old where I'm going to be in 10 years anyway, and not waste a bunch of time watching YouTube videos about, yeah, you got to fake it till you make it, man, charisma, blah, blah, blah. Fuck all that. What else is there?
We got Meme TV with $20. Got the email this morning about the papers.
More like 20 cocks. Cock? Don't read that guy's comment. Fuck that guy's.
Okay. We got
It's yogurt. It's not cum.
I thought it was sour cream. We get Justin with $20. Sam.
What'd the last guy say?
Don't
not read his comment. That's very rude.
Got the email this morning about the papers being filed for Fish Tank and confirmed my investment. It's getting exciting.
Boom.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Let's go. Big bank time.
Hey, what's going on, Casey?
We've got Full-Time Alchemist chiming in. He says, hey, Nick and Alex, I'm 27, driving a gas tanker in Florida. I got my CDL in 2020, and the first few years over the road has rendered me nonverbal in social situations. I make about $75K currently, but the trade-off is 12 to 14-hour night shifts, work through the weekends, and have no life. Any career recommendations for someone who had their social skills sucked away by the road? Or tips on recovering those skills?
Yeah, man, when you get off a shift, why don't you go have a fucking shift drink? Jesus Christ. There's no, come on. You're saying those words too well. You know damn well you can sneak out. You're not driving every day, all day. And if you are, you know, there's one of two things could be happening. You could be making more money driving more hours, which could buy your way out of anything, which is my theory. Oh, you don't like me?
Chef the lot lizard.
Yeah. Hey, sweetheart, where you going? You going to Missoula?
I get a ride.
Yeah. You can't get a ride? Yeah, I got a little flies on my crotch. So what? I mean, buddy, you're gonna have to. I mean, look, the drinking alone is the age-old watering. You know, the little watering hole is the ages-old secret. Travel alone. You know, becoming an interesting person is. There's nothing wrong with that. Gym. I say this to my single friends all the time. Gym, cooking are the safe ones. Those are the nice boy answers. The bad answers that you might not want to hear, drinking alone at decent dive bars with pool tables isn't the worst place to go meet and fuck a girl. She's not going to be pretty.
Probably the place to go.
It's probably, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Look, I'm not talking, you're not going to go fuck Kate Hudson.
Higher the average BMI.
Yes.
The better your chances.
Yeah, you want to, like, wheezing, not from you, from her.
Walking from the bar stool to the
Yes. Like, this is not a scenario. Listen, you're a truck driver. Okay, I'm a fucking fat slob with red flaky skin. We're not talking about being supermodels. Okay, we're talking about being stinkies. It's okay. We don't have to be embarrassed here. No one in this fucking chat is a fucking supermodel. Not a fucking chance. And if they are, they're awkward as shit. So literally, they're rendered the same scale. Go fuck an ugly old slob. Please, God. I cannot tell you how angry. Doesn't that drive you fucking nuts? Have you ever had friends who don't get laid for years?
Yeah.
And they like refuse to like bring their standards down?
Mm-hmm.
This drives me up the fucking wall.
Nah, dude.
Dude, that's gross. You know what's gross? Not being a normal person who has a job and a functioning member of society, not getting pussy because of standards. Gross. We all shit. And I'll be honest with you. Take it from someone who knows, not me, maybe.
If you still don't have a half-inch drill in 2025, I get it because they're expensive. That's where this comes in right here. This is a half-inch brushless drill with 900 pounds of foot torque, and you get all the attachments you need. You even got an extender. You got your charger.
With this show. That's not organic. Those are bots. And all the responses and everything else and the things that they're reposting or retweeting and all this are from other bot accounts. These are just giant fake social media interaction to make another Disney show that failed look like it didn't fail, but it failed. Because the proof's in the numbers. Once again, the Walt Disney Company, after 7 days, has not released anything that I have seen, anything that I am aware of. Disney has not released any internal data on this. We remind folks again, this started a few years ago. Disney started a trend where after a few days, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, they kept stretching it out. They would say, Ahsoka, the first episode of Ahsoka, that was the first one they did, if memory serves. 14 million people watched that first episode around the world over the first 5 days it was released, which is not that big of a number. And then we got numbers for, I know the Acolyte that came after that, maybe a couple of other shows out there, and then it suddenly stopped. And the reason was was because the shows that kept coming out later and later, the audiences kept shrinking. They didn't want to report anything for Daredevil. They didn't want to report anything for Skeleton Crew. And guess what? They're not reporting anything for Ironheart. It has been a full 8 days now since the series dropped. We had 3 episodes last week, 2.5 hours of it. We had another 2.5 hours this week. We have a total of 5 hours, 6 episodes of available watch time right now, and it's nowhere. It's Disney. Disney is not out there bragging about global numbers, domestic numbers, nothing. It's crickets over there. It's absolute crickets, but here you go. Ironheart came out Tuesday last week. So this is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday that is on this chart because that's how Luminate measures. And it's not there. 4 weeks removed from Mobland's season finale, it's still on the chart in the 10th spot with 260 million minutes. That means, again, that collectively, the premiere of Ironheart over its first 3 days could not even accumulate 260 million minutes, and it had 2.5 hours of runtime to do it with a fresh show. That means that not even 1.7 million people tuned in to watch Mobland. But as we've been joking about right there, forget K-pop demon hunters for a moment. My oldest daughter is a huge fan of this. She's going nuts over it. I guess all the K-pop and the anime people are loving that. Trainwreck Poop Cruise. Poop Cruise on Netflix. A documentary, a 55-minute documentary. That's it. 55 minutes of Poop Cruise versus 2.5 hours. 155 or 150 minutes rather. 2.5 hours of Ironheart. A 55-minute documentary drama, or just really a documentary, on the cruise ship that lost power and was stuck in the Gulf of Mexico for a week, and all the toilets were overflowing, and it was disgusting in there. That pulled in 4.5 million views, roughly, according to Luminate. Almost 3 times what Riri Williams and Ironheart got. Ironheart got beaten by actual shit. It's where we are. So facts are stubborn things, ladies and gentlemen. Facts are stubborn things. Now, I want to be clear. Just like with Andor, and remember, Disney didn't brag about the Andor numbers for season 2 either. They didn't come out and make a press release on Andor that I remember. When I told you when Andor first premiered, it dropped 2.5 hours per week, just like Riri Williams is doing with Ironheart. Although there's only 2 weeks of Ironheart, we're now done. There were 4 weeks of Andor. I told you that Andor would probably chart in the second week. It would be almost impossible considering the huge amount of runtime that will be available within 7 days. 5 hours of a brand new major intellectual property, or at least one that's connected to a major IP, in that case, Star Wars, and in this case, obviously, Marvel. There's almost no way that it doesn't chart, and I hope it does. Let it scoot in there at number 10, because, or if it goes to 4 or 5, I don't care. Remember, you have to adjust. It's not about where it lands on the chart. It's also it's also adjusting it for the available runtime that was out there, because many of the things on this chart, things like on Prime Video, things like on Peacock, a lot of these things are episodic. You know, you might get a couple of episodes, 1 episode a week kind of thing. Apple TV is 1 episode a week, so you have to account for that. But I hope it charts because I want to see how bad it did this past week that's on the screen now. You see how you got estimated minutes watched, and then you've got previous estimated minutes watched. So even if Ironheart didn't make it on this chart in the top 10 for Luminate last week when this was published on Friday, if it does make it this week in the current measurement period that will end tomorrow night, Thursday night at midnight, then we will see both this week and last week. How far behind Poop Cruise was it? We don't know. How far behind Mobland was it? We don't know yet. But we're going to know. We're going to know pretty soon. And then we'll all be able to get a good laugh at it. But again, I think, honestly, that the writing's already on the wall because, again, the Walt Disney Company has not released any information on the performance of the show, apart from creating fake social media engagement to fool people. Let's grab some super chats here. We got Araxis out there with 5 gifted channel memberships. Thank you, Araxis, our constant North Star, out there always at the top of the show with 5 gifted memberships and a $25 chat there. Packing protons for 2 alligator Alcatraz shirts are now available. Man, there's some people getting pissed off about that, and I'm here for it. It's so glorious. I love it. I absolutely love it. Make sure you guys smash the like button. We've got about 400 some odd of y'all watching over on YouTube. We've got about another 150, it looks like, watching on X. Welcome aboard. If you'd like to get more engaged in the chat conversation, I would suggest that you watch it on YouTube. The link for YouTube has been posted. I just recently posted it to X, to my X account, right before we started. If you are watching us from our new channel, Renegade Nation, and you may not be familiar with this, this is the original channel. This is the main channel, where all the things we do over on Renegade Nation with politics and current events. And I've got to get to a video. We're going to be talking about this thing where, 2025 is going down as the year that Pride Month was absolutely obliterated. We've covered small stories up to this point. The funding, the corporate funding for these Pride organizations has all but dried up this year. A lot of them were seeing 50% reductions in funding. It was incredible. We've got these Supreme Court rulings that are backing up state regulations saying, no, you can't, trans a kid under 18 years old with quack medicine. And now we've got this new thing where Leah Thomas has been stripped because of the ruling in a court case. Penn State had to issue an apology to all the female swimmers and had to strip Leah Thomas of his penis, her titles, trophies, titles, everything, basically erased from the record books, and award the women that actually won. It's amazing. It's wonderful. I see somebody out there saying SIG sucks. No, they don't. They had one firearm, my understanding. I don't own a 320. I never have. I've got 365s. I got 229s. I got 226s. I've got some of the rifles and whatnot they make. They make amazing firearms. They had one that apparently had some issues. If I go back, I can probably find problems with almost every firearm manufacturer at some point in history. But yeah, I get it. But I'm a SIG fan. That's okay if you're not. We still love you. We still want you here. In fact, I'm going to straighten my hat up. There we go. That's better. Samuel Main gifted a Valiant Renegade channel membership. William Thompson with $50 gifted 10 Valiant Renegade channel memberships. Thank you very much, William Thompson. Appreciate you. Araxis for 2. William Thompson caught Force of Light. Congrats. They escaped? Don't know what that means. I don't. Was there something in the chat that I missed? I must have missed. Yeah, I must have missed it. I don't know. Roketta. VR, thanks for all the numbers and the info. Let's see what comes over the next few years. Hopefully I can get excited again to go to the movies. Go to see F1. I cannot recommend F1 highly enough. I truly can't. It's an incredible movie. I loved it. I'm going to see it again. William Thompson for 20. Can we please, for the love of God, just talk about the latest lingerie Victoria's Secret models are wearing instead? I mean, you could. You could. Oh, you gifted Force of Light a free membership to what, here? Are they in the chat? I'm not looking up. I don't have the regular. Hang on. Let me scoot back over here. Let me out with that. Did you? Okay. I guess maybe here. You gifted them a membership while they were in this chat. Unfortunately, they weren't erased, says Kenneth LaRock for 5. They still have them in the record books under an asterisk. Okay, sure, but I mean, the rightful winners are finally being acknowledged, and I guess that's the key. And again, I don't know how long the asterisks will last. I mean, they can put an asterisk in there because they already have these records, right? All the formal documents would have already been generated at the time that would have happened, that those tournaments or those events would have taken place. So I don't know if they can go back and change the original documentation. And maybe that's what they're doing the asterisks on. I'll have to look into that. That's interesting. But I will definitely do that. Let's see. Well, yeah, William Thompson, you're going to have to help me out. I'm guessing you mean in here. And I didn't see. I don't know why my chat. Maybe my chat window's a bit wonky here. Michelle and Matt in the chat. They're usually not here on Wednesdays. I know they usually got other stuff going on. I don't see them in the chat. All right, just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. Let's see. You know what? Let me put it this way. I have seen some weird stuff with gifting lately. Like I would get an email saying you've been gifted a membership to so and so, and I don't even think I was in the chat at the time it happened. So that you see, I see 10 gifted memberships, but I don't see where. I don't know why this is. Let me go back to live chat. Maybe that's it. Yeah, I don't even see where it says. All right, I'll figure that one out later. But I've been getting that, like, you've been gifted a membership to WW Pro. And I'm like, I wasn't in the chat that day. So there must be something to where if you have a wrench, maybe it goes to you first. Because I know, like, Force of Light has a moderator. They have a wrench in this chat. Maybe that's it. I don't know. YouTube does weird stuff. I can't even try to figure it out. William Thompson says for 5, they aren't here, but they still got a freebie. And tell Natalie I'm single. I think she knows by now. So that's what it did, Dad. They probably, because they have a wrench. I'm guessing, William. I'm thinking maybe so. All right. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. Cover that Ironheart thing first. Let me just, again, this show. I think I said this a few days ago. Maybe the Sunday show. I don't remember when it was. But one of the things to take note of, this is the big difference between Bob Iger and David Zaslav, right? David Zaslav would have Batgirled this thing. Just like Batgirl. That was something that was meant for Max. It was meant for streaming. It wasn't meant as a theatrical release. It was always meant for the streaming service. They took one look at it. It looked like canal water, and they said, no, we're not going to put any more money into this thing, and we're gonna 86 it. That's exactly what should have happened to Ironheart. The problem with Marvel is that they fancy themselves as being so interconnected with one another, and they don't know how to get rid of anything when it doesn't work. And especially considering this was the show that had all the black and brown people in it. I know how Disney thinks. And those black and brown people were all lesbian, transgender, drag queens, everything else like this. And boy, it would have been every diversity checkbox on earth would have hit the cutting room floor. And I think Disney would have probably had some type of myocardial infarction. It's a heart attack. So they left it and they pumped more money into it, and you see what we got. But they should have dumped this. And I think I did that rant on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, while I was traveling over up in Tennessee. But why can I not heart these comments? Got a window open trying to do this, and YouTube Studio, half the time, it's as bad as StreamYard sometimes. Half the times the damn thing works. Yeah. Oh, now I wish you could see the screen. It says something went wrong. YouTube with the little monkey holding a hammer. Well, I say the money you pay for these things, it doesn't work half the time. All right, let's just get into. Yeah, I can't even pull up the chat now on YouTube. I figured that one out. It's just not there anymore. It's just gone. Hopefully, you guys can still see it because I sure as hell can't. I think StreamYard's still picking it up. That's what it looks like. Yep, that's where I was around. I was around Chattanooga. All right. Let's mosey on. We got to talk about some of this box office stuff coming up because we've got Jurassic World fixing to open this weekend, and it ain't looking good. I'm just gonna be straight up with you. Jurassic World is not looking healthy. It's not gonna be a Disney flop bag disaster at the box office, financially, but it's definitely following the trend of the last two films. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. Hopefully I didn't accidentally kill my comparison screen. I did not. Good. But let's get caught up on what is currently going on right now. All right. What we've got here, I'm going to switch over to this corner. We've got F1, the movie. We've got How to Train Your Dragon, Elio, Lilo and Stitch, Megan. Megan, a hot mess. I didn't go see it. I don't want to see it. I saw the trailer for it and then decided immediately I'm not going to see this. I enjoyed the first one. I told you guys before. I saw the trailer for the second one, did not recognize what was going on. Lo and behold, and we don't have to dive into this too much. I don't think this is going to be a big deal here for folks, if I can find it real quick. I will give credit where credit is due. We need more Jason Blums out there. And this Megan 2.0 movie was an absolute whiff. For Blumhouse. This was a total pooch screw. I mean, a complete and total pooch screw by Blumhouse. And I'll just to kind of skip to the point here. I think it's towards the end of this. Jason Blum himself decided to speak out proactively about Megan 2.0 and Blumhouse's slump in a podcast interview with the Town's Matt Bellany. That's the guy who runs Puck. During the weekend of the film's opening, Megan 2.0's opening, he owned up to what may have gone so wrong. Now listen to what Jason Blum says here. We all thought Megan was like Superman. We could do anything to her. We could change genres. We could put her in the summer. We could make her look different. We could turn her from a bad guy into a good guy. And we classically overthought how powerful people's engagement was with her. He admitted that they made a mistake. Imagine Disney or Bob Iger doing this. I can't picture this ever happening. Not to this level, right? It's all what we just had the analyst from TD Cowen, a Wall Street investment firm, once again blaming the audience. We had this story the other day. We released it as part of that is a clip from a live stream, and then we had the video on Elio's Pixar failure the other day and how they tried to shove everything gay into it. No, that it's still a blame. The audience just doesn't want originals. No, the audience doesn't want this anymore. It's not us. It's not us. It's just not what the audience. It's their fault. Jason Blum right here says, we screwed up. We thought we could do all this stuff with this character and the audience would still like it, but we were wrong. He's not in here blaming the audience for not liking the movie. He's blaming himself. He's blaming Blumhouse in the decision-making that they made a miscalculation on what the audience really wanted. They wanted to see another Megan movie, but they didn't want to see the one that Blumhouse handed them in Megan 2.0 because it looked ridiculous and it didn't work. And I don't even think so much it was the fact that they released it in the middle of summer, although they did release it in the middle of 3 or 4 big movies going on at the same time, which did kind of choke it out. And yes, it probably would have done better a little bit later in the summer or early fall where there would have been far less competition. But the reality is they just made a really bad-looking movie. And he's owning up to it. Contrast that with what you have gotten, at least up until recently, for the last several years, out of Marvel and Pixar and Disney animation and everything else. Either it's crickets or it's the audience's fault. We need more Jason Blums in Hollywood. Yes, they're human beings. Yes, they're going to screw up from time to time. They're going to make really, really bad, boneheaded mistakes. But I love the fact that Jason Blum just comes out and says, that one was on us. We made a mistake. We misread the room. Good for him. Good for him. Need more of that. Need a whole lot more of that. All right, back to the box office grid here, because we got some more to go through. We're going to keep moving up the scale, and then we're going to talk about what I think is going to happen this weekend with Jurassic World, and it's probably not what Universal is hoping for. I guarantee it. All right, so let's go down here and take a look. Lilo and Stitch again. Pretty much, we're done. Lilo and Stitch is done. It's not going to really climb too much higher. It looks like it's still going to fall just a little short of $1 billion in box office. Ilio, do we need to even touch this one again? No, we really don't. It's just, this is going nowhere. This is dying a painful death. It looks like it might finish up maybe somewhere a little over $100 million. And that's about it. So it won't be quite as bad as Strange World. But it's still going to be one of the worst Pixar things ever, and Disney animated things ever, when adjusted for inflation. Disney's still going to lose probably $300 million at least on this, I would imagine, at least, because at this point they're not even going to. If Disney just spent their typical $100 million on global prints and ads, distribution, marketing for this film. $100 million is a very normal spend. In fact, in this day and age, that'd be considered kind of a bit of a lowball spend for Disney. They're not even going to get maybe half of their $100 million advertising expense back. That means if they spend $100 million, they're still going to lose $50 million of what they spent on advertising, and that's before they make a dent in the production budget or what they spent, the actual production expense of this film. See, I still say budget because everybody does. And y'all giving me bad habits. Yeah, that's where we are. Big giant dud. And you can go watch the video that we put out yesterday morning. Everybody likes me doing the rants. I guess I had to get back to the rants. How to Train Your Dragon. Disappointing, certainly to say the least. Looks like it's probably going to finish up maybe a little over $500 million. Again, there is so much competition it's about to flood in. I mean, it's already lost the IMAXs, obviously, to F1. It's not, whatever PLFs it's holding are going to go bye-bye today and tomorrow with Jurassic World, which we'll get to. But the one movie that's going to sneak around this summer and overperform is going to be right here. I've been telling you, F1. Now, we don't have any updates on international since Sunday, obviously, but this thing just keeps frickin' trucking along, man. Look at the dailies. It did 7 million on Monday. It did 8.6 million on Discount Tuesday. Obviously, we don't know what it's doing yet today. We're coming into a big holiday weekend, and guess what? The IMAX screens, it's still going to hold really just about all the IMAX screens because it is an IMAX film. Jurassic World may pop up here and there. It's going to get all the PLFs, but not the IMAXs in the same way. So F1 is going to be at a big advantage there, and it's actually a disadvantage to Jurassic World because it's not going to have those super premium screens like IMAX. That's still going to be F1. I don't know if they're going to have some deal to where Jurassic World might get 1 or 2 screenings on there per day, but it's still going to be mostly F1. It's kind of weird when Jurassic World is coming out right now, but that's where we're at. So let's talk about it. And we've got some data there to share with you. And here's the problem. I want everybody to wrap their head around this one. Pretty simple. Jurassic World, 2015. the first of the newly rebooted Jurassic World series, right? Big movie. Look at that blue line way up there. A couple $100 million above the next two. The next one, Fallen Kingdom, which I refer to as Fallen Franchise, is the red line, and Jurassic World Dominion, which was supposed to kind of try to reinvigorate things a little bit more by bringing back the original cast like Laura Dern and Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum, actually underperformed Fallen Kingdom, okay? So where are we going with this new one? And you look at this and forget the budgets for a second, because we know those production budgets are absolutely garbage in terms of their relationship to reality. But realistically here, you look at the domestic opening weekends. Forget inflation for a second. This is terrifying. $208 million, almost $209 million for Jurassic World, $148 million for Fallen Kingdom, and Dominion with $145. Now adjust it for inflation. Don't look at the inflation-adjusted box office underneath it, because we know that's not quite right, right? What it really winds up being is from 2015, I mean, you're looking at a domestic box office here, opening weekend, if this were today, that 208 is over 300. It's like, it's enormous. It's 300, maybe 350. I mean, it's blazing up there. I mean, ticket prices, we have so many more IMAX screens. We have so many more PLF screens. Ticket prices back in 2015, you were probably paying maybe about $12 there for a premium ticket, if that. Right now, go to a premium ticket screen right now. It's about $18 at the same theater where I am. I mean, it's going up tremendously. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom in 2018, that might be about 175, 108, well, probably more than that, probably close to 200 million today. And then Dominion, which came after COVID, when we already started getting the inflationary pressures, that might be about 160. So the point is that the number of butts and seats has dwindled sharply. It's not just the box office here. This one is actually projected to open up even lower. Right now, predictions have it at about 130 million. And we've got July 4th, that's on a Friday, which can be a bit of an injury to this, because people tend to do stuff with family on 4th of July, like outdoors. It can be very unpredictable. I'm sure they'll go see a movie Saturday. Some of them are going to go see the movie today. Some of them are going to go see it tomorrow. But Friday might be kind of a soft day because of that. We haven't had a July 4th land on a Friday for quite some time, I think. It's been at least 10 years, maybe a little bit longer. So we don't really have a lot of good comparative metrics here in recent times, certainly nothing since COVID. Again, look at the total worldwide box office. Dismissing inflation for a second, we've went from almost 1.7 billion on the first one to 1.3 billion to 1 billion. We're dropping about 300 million each turn. And I think that's going to hold up. I think that's actually going to hold up. What am I talking about? Look at the domestic opening weekend for the first one, 208. Where did it land? 652. It performed at a little over a 3x. It performed at about a 3.2x set of legs. The next Jurassic World movie in 2018 went from 148 to 417. It actually performed a little less than a 3x in terms of leg out. Okay, it performed at about a 2.7, I think, right there. Then you look at Jurassic World Dominion. It legged out at just slightly over a 2.5. So, I mean, we're really getting, or about a 2, yeah, right at a 2.5, or slightly over a 2.5. The leg outs, not only has the box office been cut on these movies from one to the next, but the set of legs have also been cut from one to the next. And I think that's going to hold up here. We don't have Chris Pratt. And ScarJo, they want to go with the female action star lead in it. It really has not been a successful endeavor up to this point that I'm aware of. Not in any major blockbuster type action movie in the last, 20, 30 years, maybe. I can't think of one. I might be forgetting something, but I mean, this is a tall hill to climb. Now, let's talk about what some of these predictions are. And for that, we've got Sean Robbins over there. And where is it? That one. Here we go. Let's talk about this one. And I think Sean Robbins will be pretty close to on the money here. Box office weekend forecast: Jurassic World Rebirth Eyes 115 to 137, 5-day domestic launch. And again, that wonky Friday in there, being July 4th, is going to have an impact on it. And I want to be clear that would probably impact almost any film that would release this week or this weekend. Okay, this is not just something for Jurassic World. But here's the deal. Domestic weekend forecast range, looking at 115 to 137, 5-day Wednesday starting today through Sunday. There were no Tuesday previews. My understanding is the first showing of Jurassic World happened at midnight this morning, as in, 15, 16, 17 hours ago, whatever the hell it is now. 17 hours ago at midnight. And they talk about some of the issues with 4th of July. We did have a 4th of July on the 2020. That didn't count. We didn't have movies. We didn't have movies in 2020. There were no movies out there in 2020. So 2014, that was the last one that we actually had a 4th of July, opening kind of thing on. So it's been about 10 years, like I thought. They're talking about pre-sales comps are naturally imperfect for a Wednesday opener ahead of a midsummer holiday. Closest benchmark, last year's Despicable Me 4, which opened on the same Wednesday, but saw the holiday skew grosses on Thursday. Rebirth is pacing ahead of that. While Jurassic is known to be walk-up friendly, it might be a stretch to impact or to expect a similar multiple as an animated title, and I would tend to agree with that. The notable absence, and this is key, this is what I was talking about, the notable absence of IMAX is also a major factor in weighing average ticket prices and other models for Rebirth, alongside the strong word of mouth for F1, which retains the IMAX screens for a second weekend, meaning right now and this weekend, and is a candidate to spoil some of Jurassic's adult male audience. And it is. And again, this is a movie that was a sleeper that snuck in there and may have, and it's not going to, F1 is not going to be the biggest movie at the box office this weekend. Don't misunderstand me. But it's going to do enough to sucker punch Jurassic World, especially as there's obviously some fatigue for this franchise. And there seems to be, frankly, more of a lack of interest in this. And as I've stated for a long time, I think it's very much due to the fact that there's no more Chris Pratt. There's not that strong, funny, likable male lead hero type in this movie. And this is a dude's movie. This is an action movie. It's a dinosaur movie, right? That's just how the audience works for these things. So here's the bottom line. This is it. This is what we're looking at here. Jurassic World Rebirth as a 3-day, Friday through Sunday, they're looking at 77.6 million. As the 5-day open, Wednesday through Sunday, we're looking at 128 million. F1, we're looking at 24 million for the weekend here, the 3-day. Now, they don't have a 5-day for F1 because it's not a 5-day release. They're just talking about weekend numbers, but obviously we can infer that the projected domestic total for Jurassic World, the 5-day, is the 128 because that would be the entirety of its run through that point. I think Ilio might even be getting a little too much love there at 6.6 million. I think it might go under 5. Which, look, here's the thing. Megan is still going to be a bigger success than Ilio because Megan only cost about $20 million from what we understand. And again, this is another one of those things where Universal likely wrote a big fat check to Blumhouse for the streaming rights to it. Blumhouse has probably already made its money back on Megan. Again, this is why studios like Universal and Paramount love doing horror flicks because it's a very, very low hurdle to cross. The same thing happened with the Five Nights at Freddy's. Jason Blum had a check in his hand for apparently a good bit more than the $25 million that they spent to make Five Nights at Freddy's before they sold a single movie ticket. And it's so, I mean, they were very, very happy campers. So this is where we are. I don't think this is not going to bode well for Jurassic World Rebirth, or some are calling it Jurassic World Afterbirth, which may well be the case. Here's the thing, though, with Jurassic World, and this is what I want to call to everybody's attention. This is probably going to go down as the least successful Jurassic World movie that ever was. The least, I mean, even considering the original Jurassic Parks, especially when you adjust for inflation. They sell a lot of toys. They sell a whole lot of toys. Okay. The Jurassic Park series, I mean, this is one of those things that it is a super evergreen property. There aren't that many evergreen properties that still exist out there in the merchandising space that are connected to cinematic IPs or even to book or television IPs. It's limited in scope. Harry Potter is pretty damn evergreen. Jurassic World is very evergreen. There may be a few others, but no, Star Wars is not among those anymore. Disney killed that after they bought it. Marvel's not evergreen anymore. Disney has killed that off. There's really not a whole lot else out there in terms of focused intellectual properties that still sell. And why does Jurassic Park sell? Because it's dinosaurs. Every kid wants a dinosaur toy, and probably half the dinosaur toys that get sold out there on the shelves at Walmart and Target and on the digital retail centers like Amazon, they're Jurassic Park, Jurassic World branded toys that Universal collects some big old fat monster checks on. So even if this movie is not successful in the box office, Universal's probably going to be looking at a few $100 million worth of additional toy sales this year, above and beyond normal years when it comes to royalties for what this will do. And this is why every time they make a new movie, they come out with new dinosaurs in it and new things in it because it's a new toy to sell, right? That's how this works. It's a merchandise machine. Disney wishes they still had big evergreen merchandise machines besides the Disney Princess line. That's kind of always been a machine. But they keep trying to replace and replenish that flywheel. Doesn't seem to be working, right? Minions and stuff like that, always really popular sellers. Yeah, I still don't have the chat inside YouTube Studio, which is crazy. I'm going to try to reboot the whole thing there. Because that's kind of nuts. Yeah, I don't know why it's telling me something went wrong. Sorry guys, I can't heart your comments anymore. So, any case, holy Lord, I just looked down. See, this was the problem. The super chats. Okay, I can't see them in YouTube. I had to switch back over here to StreamYard. Good Lord, what are y'all doing, man? Stormweaver with $100. Good Lord, my man. All right, that's gonna get you something.
Hi, I'm Tom Michaels, and I want to invite you to my new laundromat, Whites Only Laundry. We specialize in only washing your white laundry, so your linens, socks, and undershirts will look fresher than ever. By focusing just on white laundry, our prices are 25% lower than the other guys. Plus, get an extra 10% discount by singing our slogan at the register. Hope to see you soon.
Stormweaver for 100 Canadian smackers. My God, dude, thank you very much. That'll certainly help pay the bills around here. Hello from Canada, Valiant Renegade. Don't hold that against me. I'm not. Of course not. Look, there's some great Canadian people. Our wonderful thumbnail artist, Bat Steven, man, one of the greatest Canadians I know. Hope you and yours are well. Have a great Independence Day with your family and friends. Thanks for all the amazing work. All the best, and take care. By the way, keep up the fight against the woke mind virus. You damn right we will. Absolutely. Every day we're going to fight the woke mind virus. And we're going to be doing it here, and we're going to be doing it on Renegade Nation. See, I leave that up there deliberately to remind everybody that, yes, we're all the Renegade Nation. This is where the Renegade Nation started, right here on this channel, on Valiant Renegade. But now we just actually have a channel called the Renegade Nation as well, where we cover the more hard politics and news and current events. Pardon me, I've been itching like crazy all day. I started sniffing and sneezing again. We got so much humidity down here right now. And I went out and I cut the grass last night when I got home. And I've been kind of funky all day with it. So thank you very much, Stormweaver. That is outstanding. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And William Thompson, not to be outdone, dropped a hundo. Stormweaver, I'm getting my crown back.
Hi, it's Tom again from the laundromat that's been in the news, and I really want to apologize. I definitely should have realized that the name Whites Only Laundry sounds racist, is racist, and that was not my intention at all. But we've changed the name and fixed the problem. Whites Only Laundry is now No Colors Laundry. It still gets across that we can't wash colored clothes without any of the racial connotations of whites only. Plus, to make up for our terrible mistake, come on in before Friday and you'll get yourself a free t-shirt. Just don't wash it here because it has all these colors on it.
All right, I think I see what I did wrong. Somehow, in the middle of the show, YouTube, I must have had another window open in Safari that had me on Renegade Nation, and it switched from Valiant Renegade backstage. I know this probably doesn't make sense to anybody. It went from Valiant Renegade to Renegade Nation. So all of a sudden, I couldn't bring up the command tools for the stream in YouTube because when you have YouTube Studio, when you create content like this backstage, now, especially now that we can switch between different channels under the same login, which we didn't have that a few years ago. It was a big pain in the ass. You'd actually have to log in, log out of Google and do all this kind of crazy crap. But now you can just flip it inside your YouTube system. Apparently, it flipped me over to Renegade Nation. And that's why everything was disappearing backstage, because it was, don't ask me how. It just did that. It was working fine, and then it wasn't. So thank you to Stormweaver, and thank you to William Thompson for the $100 super chats. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Look, our chat out there, and again, for the all watching on X, this is why YouTube is just more fun. It's because of the interaction that we can do with the chat here. And we really appreciate it because you guys pay the bills here. You guys make this work because I don't have time to edit clips. I don't have time to make thumbnails. I got to pay people to do this. So that's why the channel support here with the super chats is crucial. It's what make things work. I'm thinking I got, let's say, Samuel Maine. I think I got that one earlier, right? You gifted a membership. I'm backed up here. I got to make sure that I didn't. Got to clear this out because I think we, let's see, want to make sure I don't miss anything. All right, here we go. Getting caught up. Araxis for $10. As long as you have ever been to their channel, you have a chance of getting a gifted membership. See that? Okay, that must be new because I didn't think that used to be the case until just recently. I've only started noticing that, I think, in the last couple of months. God, I'm sorry for derailing the chat like this. Sorry, guys. No, you're not derailing it at all. That's actually really interesting. And it makes sense because there's times where, for example, okay, like some of y'all get buck wild over in Force of Lights chat. Y'all will light up 100+ gifted memberships over there, which is awesome. But most of the chat in there already has gifted memberships. So I always wonder, well, where do these damn things go? Do they just get cached, and then the next time somebody pops in that's a subscriber but not a member gets picked it up? So I think what they're doing now is that's the reason they did that, is because there were a lot of memberships being gifted, and then maybe not enough people in the chat that were eligible to receive them. Because it used to be when they started gifted memberships here, you used to have to go in there and You'd have to tell YouTube, yes, I'd like to accept a gift. I'd like to accept a gifted membership. And nobody would know how to do it. Nobody would know to do it or know how to do it. I remember like 2 years ago, we were constantly explaining to people you had to go on and accept gifted memberships. You had to go up in your chat and do this, that, and the other thing. I don't think you have to do that anymore. I think they changed all that because it was just too stupid and cumbersome. William Thompson for 5. Let's talk about anything else but Ironheart, please. I'll gift 100 memberships if we never talk about it again. Oh, God. Well, you can still gift 100 memberships, man. I ain't going to stop you there. But we got to talk about it from a number standpoint. William Thompson, look, we're going to have more Nielsen, or not Nielsen. Nielsen's so damn slow and useless right now. We've got more Illuminate numbers that'll come out in 2 days. Well, they might not come out Friday because that's a holiday. We might not see it till Saturday or Sunday, but we're going to get another round of Illuminate data. And let me tell you what, if Ironheart doesn't show up on there, oh, we're absolutely going to talk about it again. That will officially be the greatest disaster in the history of the Walt Disney Company in terms of television. There's no doubt. Jay, for $5, the media was ordered to bark at the audience, so that's all they'll do. You ain't wrong. Won't go the same for 10. What's up, my man? Jason Blum doesn't know what he's talking about. The toxic audience is clearly just intimidated by strong, independent dolls. You may have a point, Wonko. You may have a point. See, I always love Jason Blum, man. I don't know why. He's just kind of like a real straight shooter. Every interview I've ever read of his, I just always kind of got me. Like, I just like this guy. This is a guy that I would just want to go hang out and have a beer with or something like that. Pick his brain as a horror movie nerd like I am. He just seems like a really, really cool dude. Every time. And he's done a few interviews with Matt Bellany on the Town podcast and with Puck, I believe. I've read a few. I think Matt Bellany's had Jason Blum in there a few times. So, yeah, good dude. Good dude. Yep, it's me. Remember, for 4 months, Blum may have saved Megan by taking responsibility for the bad movie. If they do a third, I think the audience will show up. Here's the cool thing. That's it. Look, you're right. The reason they can do a third one is because it's very low risk. You're talking about, look, 20 million. They did 25 for this one. They probably went a little bit overboard. They probably did more special effects. They need to go back to simple. Simple, simple, simple. Remember, it's a horror movie. It's not a comedy. It's not Terminator 2. It's not an action movie. It's a horror movie. Get back to horror, okay? They can do a third one, and I hope they do, because it's low risk. Again, Universal's going to give them a check for whatever they spend to make Megan 3. And Blumhouse won't have to come out of pocket a penny. Universal will wind up paying for it. And it doesn't have to make that much money at the box office to really cover its nut. One of the beauties with Megan is that it was marketed so brilliantly the first time around. They did not spend a lot of money to even market that film. They used social media. They used clever little things like having dance teams walk out on football fields at halftime dressed up as Megan characters and just do the weird dance. And it went all over the internet. It was viral. Get back to that. Jason Blum knows how to do that. They just got a little over their skis on this one. But the beauty is, like I said, it's not a $200 million foul up. It's not a $300 million foul up. It's not even a $100 million foul up. It's a $20 million foul up. $20 million is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But it's not, in the grand scheme of Hollywood finances, it's a piss take. It's a piss take. Fix it. They can do it. Packing Protons for 5. If there is a good Lord, he's depressing me with a bevy of beautiful women on my way home from dinner, including a gorgeous Burger King takeout lady. Burger King takeout lady, like a DoorDasher? Is that I don't know what when you say Burger King takeout lady, is she picking up and leaving? Is she going through the drive-through? Or are we talking about a DoorDasher, Uber Eats? I didn't know what takeout lady was, but hey, it's always fun to look. Retro Meister for 10. I always wanted ScarJo or another actress to be in Jurassic Park movies, similar to the old Trespasser game in her survival horror film footage. The Jurassic World series was a mistake from the start. Well, the first one sure wasn't. The first one made a damn fortune, almost 1.7 billion at the box office. But yeah, we do need to talk about that because that is something that I did have here in the queue since you brought it up. Let's talk about some of the problems with Jurassic World Rebirth, apart from the abysmal box office projections here. And one more. Jackson Cagle for 5 says, high five. Thank you, Jackson Cagle. Much appreciated. Okay. Let's talk about this one. This is, you know me. Normally, I look at critics' scores on Rotten Tomatoes with a huge grain of salt. And as our good buddy Drunk 3PO reminded me, thank you, was it Sunday? I think it was. We were doing the live show. And he said, hey, Rotten Tomatoes sucks. Use Criticless. Yes, use Criticless. Criticless is a much better site. It's kind of like the Real Game Awards at Side Scrollers. It's made for real people, okay? So use Criticless. But we talk about Rotten Tomatoes because Rotten Tomatoes this is what people know. This is what the Hollywood Access media focuses on. So it's a little bit difficult for us to avoid what's going on there. Now, again, most of the time I don't give Rotten Tomatoes a whole hell of a lot of credence. But typically with Disney flicks, because of everything we talked about earlier and how they use social media to bot everything to a bullshit degree that gives us what we get a lot of times on Rotten Tomatoes, which are head-scratching numbers. But here's what's disconcerting. Watch this. 54%. Now, we've got 168 reviews already clocked in for this movie. 54% all critics. What do we always say? We always say, look at the top critics. Let's see what they say. Granted, this is an action movie. It's a Jurassic Park movie. We know it's not going to be a 90+% on RT, but top critics at 53. All critics at 54. It's not often that we look at Rotten Tomatoes on this channel and find all critics and top critics so close. This is for all intents and purposes, this is way inside a margin of error. This is dead on balls. Top critics and all critics alike are 50-50 on this movie. Now, does that mean that it's still, does that mean that it can't be a crowd pleaser? Not at all. Not at all. We could all be very pleasantly surprised. I'm probably going to go see this movie, I think, tomorrow night. But I've had my concerns about this movie. I've had a lot of concerns about this movie. And just to kind of give you an idea, let me back out of this. When I say that critic and top critic scores, right? The disparity sometimes we get them. Ironheart is certified fresh. I'm not going to go back and talk about this dumpster fire of a show, but I want to show you, I want to make the point. So that article is right there. Where is TV? TV. Most popular Rotten Tomatoes. The audience didn't like Squid Game, I guess. I liked it. I'm sorry. So I'm on the other side of this one. Watch this. 86%. 86%. All critics. 60. 60 for top critics. That is a massive swing, right? What did we talk about before? Because this Ironheart is botted by Disney Access Media. This is effective, and I don't mean like we have actual bullshit bots in here, but what we have are people, reviewers, that effectively act like bots. And we all know who they are and why they do this. We've talked about it previously. This is something that had basically a no white people cast. Ryan Coogler was involved, and we've talked about how you get punished for questioning anything that Ryan Coogler is involved in. So the all critic score stands at 86%. The top critic score at 60. A couple of days ago, that top critic score was in the 50s. So it's come up, you know, one or two more reviews in there have come to prop it up. That's the disparity that we're talking about. But with Jurassic World, there is no disparity. None. Top critics and all critics are just completely aligned. And on that one, and this is what's even worse, there are almost twice as many reviews in the bank already for Jurassic World Rebirth than Ironheart. And it's dead on. See, that's how the math works. This is why we look at the numbers, guys, because you have to put all of that into context. It's not just about what the score is, it's about what's the sample size of the score. How close are the scores? What's the disparity between top and all? What you got to look at it from all angles, and it gives you a really good idea. Now, because a lot of these reviewers on here, obviously they've gotten to see this movie well in advance. Now, I don't know. I haven't looked yet at what Critic List has for Jurassic World Afterbirth or Rebirth, but I'm assuming the number of reviews there has to be probably pretty thin because it's mostly users. I don't know if there's too many people on there. I think Alan Ng may post something on there, a couple of guys like that, but there's probably not a huge sample size yet because most of the votes on there are done by us, normal people, real people going to go see the movie. So yeah, just to give you an idea here, that's part of the problem with Jurassic World. And then there's this. This happened the other day. This is part of a real problem. You know, ScarJo has been on this kick of not wanting to be part of the male gaze anymore. And we've all seen how Scarlett Johansson looks in this new movie. She's in, you know, baggy, you know, jungle clothes or whatever, hunting around. I mean, she's dressed up like Chris Pratt. You know, no makeup. She's trying to do this as a more serious action star. She doesn't want to be thought of as the sex symbol anymore. I understand that. You know, she's 40. She's a mom. She doesn't want to do those kind of roles anymore. But I get it. And I've talked about that before. I respect the decision. But here's the problem. In a movie like this, it's an action movie with a male-dominated audience. You're going to have to play to your audience. And playing to the audience would have probably been to continue to use that. I mean, even at this point, a more mature sex appeal from ScarJo. Now, I haven't seen the movie yet. We haven't seen everything, but I've seen the previews. I've seen the trailers. And you know, okay, we're going to put a female action hero lead in here. Some eye candy would be nice, especially when this franchise is kind of hanging on by a thread already. It doesn't look like the rest of the movie is going to be a whole lot to write home about. ScarJo is opening up how roles have changed for women since she joined Hollywood. In a recent interview with the Times of London, Johansson said that when she first entered the industry, the roles she was offered usually centered around desirability and the goals and needs of her male counterparts. However, she thinks the Hollywood of today is ushering in a different time for young women. The messaging is different. There are many more role models. Women are visible in powerful positions, and the opportunities I've had to play women who don't have to be just one thing or another have increased. But when I was younger, a lot of the roles I was offered or went in for had their ambitions or character arcs revolving around their own desirability or the male gaze. or a male-centered story. That is less frequent, though. Something has shifted. Here's the problem, though, that she may not want to admit or maybe not realize. She is right in a lot of this, but the type of roles that she's still engaging in, like this with Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, are still very male-centered. It is still about the male gaze. So if you want to be able to get the $20 million paychecks for doing the action flicks, then you're going to have to play to the audience that's there. If not, that's going to dry up. I mean, Scarlett Johansson's entire career, the fact that she is currently worth 20, 30 million, whatever they're paying her for this film, it's probably not cheap. Okay, it's probably at least 20, 30 million dollars to headline this film. The whole reason that she is worth that much money is because she did the roles that she did. It's because she did the role of Black Widow and played in the male universe of the MCU. And yes, it was decidedly male-driven. That's what Disney bought it for, even though they have since in the last 5 years completely effed it up. Okay? Now, she had her own movie, right? They made the Black Widow movie. Yeah, it was after the character died. You can blame Kevin Feige for that. Whatever. Doesn't matter. The problem is it really wasn't that big of a hit. Nobody cared that much about it. Nobody went to go see it for its own thing, because why? The thing is that, look, you want to make this kind of money in Hollywood, there are certain films that you're going to have to do. Even for the guys in the movies, right? The guys in the movies, hey, a lot of them, they're not looking at this like, oh, wow, this will be the greatest accomplishment of my acting career is to go in and play a Marvel superhero. They'll probably get paid really well, but it's not going to get them any critical accolades, right? Nobody's going to look back in history and say that the greatest performances by somebody like Benedict Cumberbatch was as Doctor Strange, even though he was really good at it. At least in the first, before we got to phase 4 and 5. And the movies just went to crap. But nobody's going to say that those were his shining moments. But when we look at the guys, even in the MCU relied on the female gaze quite a bit, did they not? How many shots and how many times did we get Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth with their shirt off, or in tight clothes, or showing their butt, like in Thor 4, right? What did Hollywood do that for? They didn't do it for the guys that were already going to go watch the movies, if they were going to at that point by the time we got to Thor 4, which they really didn't. They were doing it for the women. They were doing it for the female gaze. So honestly, ScarJo, she can be upset all she wants, but the door does swing both ways, especially with the very franchise, the MCU, that made her what she is and what she's been a part of now for the past 15 years. I wouldn't complain too hard. I mean, all of her wealth that she's accumulated has been based upon that. This is another issue that I think is going to be a problem for Jurassic World. This was probably not a good time for this interview to come out. Now, the good thing is that Jurassic World is going to be probably dominated by younger male audiences. They're going to go, they want to go see the dinosaurs. Renegade Jr. wants to go see it just to see what happens, because he loves the franchise. He's got a whole bunch of the collectibles and stuff like this for Jurassic World. He's going to go see it. Okay, we're going to go see it tomorrow night. A lot of the audience is going to be like that. But in terms of repeat business, in terms of the adult male audience, the older male audience, I think kind of a lot of them, obviously from the numbers we showed earlier, had already started checking out. My concern is ScarJo going to turn around when this thing doesn't do near as well as the last 3 movies with Chris Pratt in them, and try to say that, well, this was male sexism, even though we had the chart. I'll pull it up again, just for reference sake. Right, here it is. Even though on this chart you can clearly see right here 1.66 billion for Jurassic World, 1.3 billion for Fallen Kingdom, 1 billion for Dominion. The trends with this, combined with what we know now where this movie is probably going to open at, according to the last bit of projections we have walking in the door, is that this is going to fall. It's fallen about $300 million each movie. It looks like right now that's almost exactly like what this next one is going to fall. This next one, the one that's out right now, is going to wind up at around $700 million when it finishes, because we still have Superman coming out a week later, or 10 days later. That is not a lot of time for this movie. Not a lot of time. The first Jurassic World movie opened with over $500 million globally. 500 million globally. They are projecting Jurassic World Dominion, or excuse me, they're projecting Jurassic World Rebirth to open with half of that. 10 years later, no inflation adjustments. Deadline is talking about $260 million global opening. That ain't good. On the grand scheme of things, it sounds good. But for this franchise, it's not good. It's really, really not good. And I'll show you real quick here. Let's see, D'Alessandro. Here we go, right here. Ain't me saying it. Deadline agrees. Jurassic World Rebirth about to get loud with $260 million global opening over Independence Day stretch. So this is a 5-day. This is international box offices opening today and American box offices opening today through Sunday. 260 million. Ain't good. And this is why I think that if the 2.5 set of legs holds, this is where I'm coming up with. Screw you, Sams. If that 2.5x set of legs holds up, this is where I'm winding up with about 700 million. If we get to the 3x, then yeah, we might be looking at 750 to maybe 800. This movie's going to struggle because Superman, even though it might not really be, it might wind up coming out and being terrible, it is going to suck a lot of oxygen out of the room. The proximity is 10 days. So this movie, Jurassic World, I mean, it doesn't have long. It doesn't even have 2 full weekends. You realize that? It's July 2nd right now. Superman comes out on July 11th. That's 9 days from now. 9 days. And that doesn't even include Thursday previews. Jurassic World has 1 weekend. 1. This one's going to struggle. I really, I don't know. Y'all let me know in the chat. Am I crazy? Am I losing my shit? Have I just gone insane? This movie's in trouble. Strictly from a revenue standpoint compared to the previous movies. This is going to be, I think we're going to see close to another $300 million drop in box office from Dominion. Just like Dominion fell from Fallen Kingdom, and just like Fallen Kingdom fell from the first one in 2015. It's looking like it's going to hold up. Now, if Chris Pratt had still been in this movie, who knows? Maybe. I joke all the time about the power of Pratt, but don't discount the fact that this does not have Chris Pratt in it. Not having Chris Pratt in this film easily could wind up costing it $200 million in box office revenue. I think that's probably a not unreasonable figure. We'll see. All right. William Thompson says, I was picking up plasma in southern Louisiana, including New Orleans. The humidity was literally off the charts. Dude, it was horrible. Yeah, that's every summer. Thank you for the $5. Yeah, it's bad. And it's not even August yet. It gets worse. Swift -1 for 18 months says, Ballerina better than Black Widow movie. Oh, dude, yeah. The sky's blue, too. Ballerina, also, will Ballerina and Karate Kid movie make a pretty profit? Ballerina, well, will Ballerina make a profit at the box office? No, it's going to lose money. It's a shame. It was a really great movie. I enjoyed the hell out of that thing. I can't wait to see it again. But the problem is with Ballerina, they did a lot of additional photography. They reshot a bunch of stuff. They realized the first time around, we didn't do this the way we should have. We need to get Keanu Reeves in here. We need to bring in John Wick. We need to blah, 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 which was great. It made the movie better. And I really enjoyed it. But no, I mean, $90 million. I mean, not even with marketing. The movie would have had to have done around $300 million, I think, at least globally, to break even. It's not going to come anywhere close. However, the good news is Lionsgate, like we talked about before, Matt, it's kind of a weird bird. They pre-sell the rights to the films. So they had already sold all of the international distribution rights, with the exception of the UK, to 50 other countries. So they got cash up front. So right now, if I had to bet, Lionsgate has probably recovered all of their costs of producing that film, just not from the box office. But they have that unique little system. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Won't go the same for 10 also, or as could be said of so many people in Hollywood that have done well, Scarlett Johansson would also benefit from more gratitude in her life. Well, yeah. But she's using her time now to complain that, okay, well, she's not getting cast for this kind of thing or that kind of thing anymore. You've got the Sydney Sweeneys coming up, taking a lot of these roles unapologetically that Scarlett Johansson is now kind of complaining about. You know, like, oh, I couldn't complain about them back then because I was getting these roles. It's like, yeah, but look what you got. Look at the money you made. You weren't complaining about the money that you made. You could have said no. But you got those paychecks, though, right? Staccato for $10. Jurassic World will underperform. The only thing it has going for it is that it's 4th of July weekend, which, again, like we said earlier, arguably that might not be a big help, because that Friday, the 4th of July itself is on a Friday. That has a big negative impact, because people don't like I'm not thinking about going to the movies on a Friday. Thinking about, I'm going to go get out on the fishing boat. We're going to go outdoors. We're going to go do something. We're going to go hang out. We're going to go do something, right? So I don't know if that's going to really help them. I think what's helping them, Staccato, is that it's going to have at least a 5-day weekend, starting Wednesday, today, as an opening. Nightwalker Medicine for $20. Jurassic films make more money from dinosaur follow-on products, yes. Like making custom stuff for Netflix. Horror films have dedicated audiences. Other studios have sweetheart deals with streamers. Who at Disney has the power to make these calls, and why can't they pivot? Nightwalker Medicine, that is an excellent question. We've talked about that here before, but I'll be happy to answer it again. They don't want to. They don't want to pivot. Who can make that call at Disney? The C-suite. Bob Iger could make that change tomorrow. Alan Bergman and Dana Walden could make that change tomorrow. I mean, there's the reason that Disney Plus is financially failing as badly as it has been is in large part due to the amount of money that they spend buying their own products instead of licensing it out to Netflix, instead of making better distribution deals. It's because of the hubris of Disney. It's because of the attitude of, we are the best. We are the greatest. Our stories are the greatest stories on earth, and they belong here. Well, number one, your stories are shit. And number two, you can put them on your own channel all you want. Nobody's watching them. But if you took some of those crappy stories and you stuffed them on Netflix, at least you'd get a real paycheck for it. But Disney doesn't want to do that. Because especially this, remember the Walt Disney Company went to all the trouble of terminating their deal with Netflix, right? They launched Disney Plus in 2019. They pulled their deal with Netflix after that. Instead of sending the Star Wars properties over there, instead of sending the Marvel properties over to Netflix, they all came home to Disney Plus. One of the worst financial moves that the Walt Disney Company ever made. Do you think that Disney is going to unring that bell now? I doubt it, at least not with the current leadership. I seriously doubt it, because it would be Bob Iger admitting that he completely fucked up. And he did fuck up, but it'd be Bob Iger admitting that he fucked up. He doesn't do that. He doesn't admit those kind of things. This is why Disney is stuck. That's the problem. Wild Man of Yavin for 10 actresses have been complaining for decades about roles for them when they hit 40 plus. I cannot wait for the OnlyFans models to do the same. Grab the popcorn. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of MILF videos they can do. Or cougar videos or whatever the hell it is now. Oh, man. All right, that kind of gets us all caught up on that one. Let's see. All right, we've talked enough about that. Let's get to this one. This is crazy. And this all, believe it or not, why is South Park upset? Well, it has a lot to do with everything going on with Paramount, 60 Minutes, CBS, and yes, Donald Trump. Let's see. South Park creators slam the proposed Paramount Skydance merger, saying it's effing up their show. Now, for those of you that don't know, the new season of South Park was set to premiere, I believe, next week on the 9th, about actually a week from tonight, Wednesday, July 9th, because South Park has always been a Wednesday show. That's been kicked. It's now been pushed back, I think, 2 weeks, if not mistaken. South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone are, to put it mildly, not happy about the proposed merger between Comedy Central parent Paramount Global and Skydance Media. In a blistering statement, in response to the show's season 27 premiere date, a change announced earlier today, Parker and Stone wrote on X, "This merger is a shit show and it is effing up South Park. We are at the studio working on new episodes and we hope the fans get to see them somehow." Season 27 premiere is on Comedy Central, originally slated for July 9, is being moved to July 23rd, so 2 full weeks pushed back. The premiere delay comes amid tension, including a legal threat over South Park's lucrative streaming rights as the series was caught in the uncertainty over Skydance's pending acquisition of Paramount Global, which co-owns the joint venture behind South Park Digital Studios, with series creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who run it. South Park's $500 million, $500 million exclusive streaming licensing deal with HBO Max expired 1 week ago. But it has not been replaced by a new exclusive one or multiple non-exclusive ones. At the same time, South Park streaming rights, believed to be non-exclusive, have been shopped to other platforms, with HBO Max parent Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Netflix making bids. According to a legal letter an attorney for Parker and Stone's Park County sent recently to Redbird, Skydance and Redbird's Jeff Shell, who's poised to become Paramount Global's president upon completion of the acquisition by Skydance, over alleged interference in the deal negotiations. It was announced late Tuesday night, and here's where Trump comes in, that Paramount Global had reached a settlement with Donald Trump for $16 million over its fraud, its handling of a 60 Minutes interview fraud with President or former Vice President Kamala Fraud Harris, Trump's opponent in the presidential election. Remember when everybody was telling us she was going to win for months? What happened with that? Kind of like the 60 Minutes interview. All the polls were fraud. But this is the actual tweet that Parker and Stone popped out there today. You can read it for yourself. We already read the quote. But that's where it is right now. So right now, it's being pushed back. They've obviously got some legal issues to work through. And here's where obviously I think this went wrong, is that there were a lot of people that thought that this Skydance and Paramount merger would have happened by now. We would have already been wrapped up. But for the fact that the executive producers of CBS and 60 Minutes decided to take a dump on the American people. And I can't, this idea that, oh, you know, Trump this and oh, Trump's mean and oh, Trump, I can't believe he's doing this to a news organization. Well, when the news organization lies like 60 Minutes did, and they lied, they took an interview that they conducted with Kamala Harris and they deliberately, radically manipulated that interview in post-production editing and made it look nothing like she actually looked during the unedited version of the interview. And they presented this to the American public as an honest interview with a major presidential candidate. But it wasn't. It was anything but. It was a big fat lie. It was a fraud on the American people by CBS. So Donald Trump sued because, well, what you did, CBS, was you effectively gave Kamala Harris a 1-hour television commercial because nothing on there was real. And again, we all went back and saw how much stuttering and stammering and the terrible answers or the non-answers that Kamala gave. And 60 Minutes and CBS went so far as to completely alter answers that she gave, remove all the ums, the ahs, the stutters and everything else, changed, like made material changes to completely radically overhaul the perception that the public would get by watching it. It was a fraud on the American people. They settled. They finally settled. And look, like it or not, Trump was right on this one. And people can scream all they want that, well, you know, the FCC was going to sit there and hold up because they had a lawsuit pending. Well, here's the thing. The lawsuit was not meritless. It had a lot of merit to it, a lot of legal merit, in my opinion. Paramount settled it. The fault is not on Donald Trump. The fault is not on the FCC. The fault is on the ass clowns who ran 60 Minutes and CBS News. Remember Dan Rather? Dan Rather was a CBS News anchor. Remember that story 25 years ago? Maybe 20 years ago now. I can't remember what it was. The fraudulent documents that Dan Rather produced on air saying that George Bush had been a draft dodger. Somebody actually forged the documents. And this was in the heady days of the internet. But even back then, it took the internet about 30 minutes to take a look at the documents that Dan Rather went on the nightly news that night and said, George Bush is a liar. George Bush is a draft dodger. And they said, now, wait a minute. That was printed in Photoshop. That was printed on a modern printer because no typewriter in the Army back in 1970, whatever the hell it was, had that. I mean, it was amazing. You have to go back and look it up. Dan Rather was forced to resign in absolute humiliation. He was forced to retire because CBS, they didn't want to fire him outright and make it look bad because it would have been a admission of guilt. But they forced Dan Rather to walk, to leave, to resign because he'd been busted. He created a fake news story to directly influence a presidential election in the United States. CBS did it again with Kamala Harris 20 some odd years later. They did it again. This time, somebody said enough of this, and we filed a lawsuit. So it's totally CBS's fault, again, just like with Dan Rather, 20-something years ago. So the complaining and whining about this, holding it up, and everybody bitching and moaning out there, I can't believe it, President, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Blame the people that committed the fraud. That's CBS. They did it. But anyway, point being is that this has actually impacted the whole South Park situation, because I'm sure they thought that by now this was going to have been resolved. But clearly it's not resolved, and we're still dealing with it. And this is probably why the contract was not fixed, was not resolved before now, because they thought this merger would be done and that Skydance would ink a new deal with South Park Studios. It hasn't happened yet. But the fact, and this is key, the fact that they have simply pushed the premiere date back by 2 weeks, that seems to suggest to me that Skydance, now that the settlement has been done, okay, now that the settlement with Trump is over, and they'll probably be able to proceed with the merger with more clarity. Probably have a deal with South Park Studios within the next day, 2 days, I bet. Watch. It's going to happen now. John Thomas, 25 years ago, try almost 60 years ago, when he stood on the airfield at Kayshawn and lied that any airplane trying to land was shot down. That was Dan Rather. I don't remember that one. Also, CBS gave an illegal campaign donation in kind. Well, yeah, that's what the Kamala interview, that's what it was about. I mean, you want to get the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, involved? Was that reported as an in-kind donation to Kamala Harris? Because that damn sure what it looked like. And that's why they sued for as much money as they did. When you add it up, it's like, wait, did you just give her 1 hour of commercial airtime here by editing a production for her and then putting it on for free? What's the value of, if you loaded up, 120 30-second advertisements? That's why they did what they did. CBS knew exactly what it was doing. It didn't care, because they thought probably they may have actually believed their own bullshit polling. They probably actually believed that Kamala Harris was going to win, and they figured we'll be fine. But then when Trump won, they probably got very nervous. They knew what they had done. They damn well knew what they had done. And the proof's in the pudding. Why settle? If you're so confident that Trump is crazy, why settle? You're telling me, oh, well, he could hold up the Federal Communications Oversight. Yeah, you could make that speculation. Is there any evidence of it so far? I mean, I know what Trump said. Trump says a lot of stuff. But did the FCC decline the merger? Did they tell him no? Not yet. They might still. Who knows? But CBS put itself in that position. So thank you very much, John Thomas. Thank you for the $10. You guys have been great tonight. Appreciate y'all. It's a big help. Get that kind of support on a live show. Let's see. I think, did I have something else that I wanted to? Oh, yes, I did. I definitely did want to talk about this one. Real quick. This was the last piece of the pie, I believe. Do y'all want to see what a truly successful television show looks like? And granted, arguably one of the most successful in history. But let's be reality. Let's get to reality here. This is amazing. This is amazing. I mean, Squid Game 3. This came out Friday. I just finally got to watch the final season yesterday. Last night, in fact. Squid Game Season 3. sets a Netflix record with a massive 60, not 6, not 16, 60, 60.1 million views in 3 days. Shit. That is nuttier than a squirrel turd. And there's people out there in the chat, they haven't watched it, don't see what the hype. I get it. Look, some people just, they don't like to sit there and watch something with subtitles. I understand that. You know, it's not a show like my wife's probably ever going to watch. Not to mention, you know, all the blood and gore. But the first Squid Game, the first season was a masterpiece. It was amazing storytelling. It was so good. The character depth, it just spectacular. Season 2, it's not as good, but it still hit a lot of the right notes. It was still very entertaining. Season 3, people complaining about it. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. And I can understand why people got mad at it. And maybe I think that's why they're kind of, but I thought the way it ended, because this is, I don't want to go into the Kate Blanchett thing. Please don't make me. Because that is so stupid. But as far as this story is concerned with Squid Game, I was very, very pleased with kind of how it got wrapped up. I mean, you could kind of see it coming. I kind of knew where it was going. It was the right ending for the characters involved. I thought it was very fitting. And I had really no complaints. Nothing major. I liked it. But point is this: 60 million. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a global figure. Excuse me. This is a global figure for Netflix. This isn't just domestic. Squid Game broke a new record. And again, this is just the first 3 days. 3 freaking days. Netflix's top 10 list. Let me see if I'm pretty sure when I open this is going to be K-pop Demon Hunter, baby. Poop Cruise. All this stuff beat the snot out of Ironheart like it was just terrible. This is global top 10 movies. So let's go to shows non-English. Squid Game, there we go. So this is global, right? Global. 60.1 million views with a total runtime available of 6 hours and 8 minutes. Okay. 368 million hours viewed. Now, there's no way they don't give us a breakdown here. I don't think they're going to give us a breakdown in, let's see. I think we're going to get a breakdown. Yeah, see, they don't give us a breakdown just domestically. I hate that. The only time we get those, they give us global views. But here's the thing. Riri Williams, Ironheart, didn't do 1.7 million views in the U.S. and 30 million views in the rest of the world. It didn't happen. Okay? Usually it's about 50-50. With Squid Game, it might be skewed a little bit more international. But probably if I had to guess, I'd say guaranteed at least 20 million of those views. At least 20 million of those views came in here in the U.S., which is astonishing. In 3 days. In 3 days. I mean, you're talking Game of Thrones level kind of viewership here. This is a big dog for Netflix. And again, they're not spending $200 and $300 million on these shows. They're not spending $200 and $300 million on these shows. And they're getting audiences that are 10, 20, 30 times bigger than Marvel and Star Wars shit on Disney Plus that are costing $200 to $300 million per show. So back to this. With that impressive opening stat, Squid Game Season 3 is now Netflix's 9th most watched non-English TV show ever. And that's only 3 days. Give it another week or two. It will be, it's going to be up there in the top 3 of all shows, probably. Squid Game Season 2, by comparison, debuted with 68 million views in the first 4 days. Not 3, but 4 days. Following its Christmas launch, a Thursday compared to Season 3's Friday in the summer. That beat the record that Wednesday had set with Jenna Ortega with 50 million views in 2022 on its opening 3-4 days. So, any case, this is something special, and I cannot wait to see. Here's the thing: Luminate is going to hopefully give us a pretty good capture here in the U.S., and we're going to see what kind of watch time was racked up for this. I'm expecting 2 to 3 billion minutes easy here in the U.S. So I can't wait to see these Luminate charts. I really, really can't, because Luminate is going to capture everything, because it starts Fridays at midnight, basically right when a show like Squid Game drops on Friday on Netflix, and goes all the way through the following Thursday. So that's going to be a big fat capture for Squid Game. And Ironheart may or may not show up in that top 10, like we said earlier. We'll have to wait and see. Okay. I think that gets us all caught up there. I think we are going to wrap it up there. We're coming up on 2 hours here. Going to try to wind it down. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you all so very, very, very much. I think, I've been meaning to do this. I think our buddy Mark over at Rasmussen does a show on Wednesday night. I'm going to try to successfully this time, because I think I screwed it up last time. I need to get a redirect set to send you guys and girls over there. So hang tight. Let me take a look, see. Yeah, this redirect system doesn't like me anymore. Probably if I know Mark, he probably hasn't even set it up yet, which is always a pain in the butt. Because if they don't have the lobby opened yet, can't redirect a damn thing. What's up, culture? This is a good go. What did I miss? What did I miss? Let's see. I guess that's all I've got. Okay. Yeah, for some reason I can't pull up the damn redirects. Those have, I don't know why, no live or upcoming content from your subscriptions. Well, that's current. That's no way that's true. Search to find content from other channels. Well, duh. Well, it's not letting me search anything anyway. Okay. Fun. All right, guys, we're going to wind it down there. Appreciate y'all being here. Thank you all so very, very much. I think I've got... I'm glad people are loving it. Whoop. Oh, Ryan's broadcasting right now. I was like, wait. I was trying to go through the list here. Ryan Kinnell's out there doing his thing. When did he start? No, he started after me. Okay, so he's still running right now. Tell you what, why don't I send you over there? There we go. Why not? Send Ryan Kinnell some love. Y'all get over there. Yeah, hit the like button on the way out. You head on over to Ryan's show. Make sure you hashtag Renegade Raid when you get on over there. Tell him hi for me. And we are going to get the hell on out of here. I'm going to try to cut a video for Renegade Nation a little bit later this evening. Have that out. But what's good is we'll have some break here tomorrow and Friday. I'll be able to try to squirrel out a few more videos here for you guys. Araxis for $2 says, good night, all. Thank you very much, Araxis. Get on out of here. Go Renegade Raid over on Ryan's channel, and we'll see you Sunday. Take care.
Gunn Superman, the first big movie with the rebooted DC universe with James Gunn at the helm. And certainly, because it's Superman, because it's DC's, fresh start, because it's James Gunn, there is a ton of attention on this film. In the middle of their massive marketing campaign, with some questionable initial box office projections, the last thing they want is major controversy. Nevertheless, they've had it. They've had a couple of those moments. Some of the marketing has been highly criticized in the media and on social media and all of these things. But now James Gunn decided a week before this movie comes out that he was going to say something that may have not been exactly the best thing to say in the middle of a $200 million marketing campaign. Netizens call for Superman boycott. James Gunn's racist India comments under fire ahead of DC revival. Now, James Gunn was being talked to about, how tough it is to deal with online backlash. And, Superman's dealing with online backlash in this movie. Is that because that's something you deal with? And of course it is. James Gunn wrote his dog into this. He wrote his wars on social media into this movie. But it was his response that had some people a little bit upset. Let's listen to this.
You're active online. We've seen what you've had to deal with.
That's right. A couple of little things here and there.
Was any of that infusing in here cathartic for you, or why did you want to incorporate Superman's responses that he has towards online criticism?
Well, obviously, I relate. Obviously, I relate to that. I do tune out most of social media, but every once in a while there'll be somebody who will say something. It's always the weirdest stuff. It's never what you expect. Mm-hmm. Some weird thing. I go, God, that guy, and then I go, I think I might be getting upset about something a 12-year-old in India is saying. You know what I mean? I'm like, let it go. But
now there's some stuff in here to take apart. I think I might be getting upset about a 12-year-old in India says. Who the fuck cares what he says about Superman? I find the comment hilarious in general, but it's because of all the backlash surrounding this thing. Look, that could mean a wide variety of things. Do I care what somebody halfway around the world is arguing with me about this one random thing? Oh, bot farms in India, maybe. There's some people that are suggesting there's a Snyder angle to it because he's got a rabid fan base in India. However, because of this comment, James Gunn is now getting called racist by there's a pretty big social media backlash over this. Now, it's ironic because he was answering a question about letting the stuff on social media get to him. And when it comes to James Gunn, look, he's like, sometimes he fucking constantly, especially in the early stage of the development of this movie and this DC role, he was constantly replying back to people and insulting people and doing all this stuff. This dude who's making tens of millions of dollars as the head of DC Studios is constantly arguing with, sometimes probably, 12-year-olds in India about this thing. But this is the internet. And if you say something like that, you're going to get called racist, and that's what we've seen. I want to listen to this fucking comment again, Jay, because the way he says it, it's like, why should I give a fuck about what some 12-year-old in India thinks about Superman's underwear?
Weird thing. I go, God, that guy, and then I go, I think I might be getting upset about something a 12-year-old in India is saying. You know what I mean? I'm like, God, let it go. But
you can see that's a little racist. Excuse me, racist much? SPLC. Oh my gosh. James Gunn is a racist piece of shit. Take him down. Now, I think that this is a really stupid thing to fucking say a week before, especially as you're trying to market this movie everywhere on the road. As you have decided, James Gunn, to take out the idea of the American way from this hero about truth, justice, and the human way instead of the American way. You're the one that was intent on trying to globalize this thing instead of focusing on America. So I think it's a really stupid thing for him to say. Nevertheless, do I think that James Gunn is racist for this offhand fucking comment? I don't think so. I think that's wild. We know that word has lost pretty much all meaning because of ridiculous stuff. However, that has not stopped a lot of different people from saying it. As an Indian, I take full offense to this incredibly racist and tone-deaf comment from James Gunn. How surprising. James Gunn hates Indians, just like real DC fans. He's racist now. He's racist now. And it kind of goes on and on and on and on and on when it comes to this stuff. There was a lot of backlash yesterday. So much backlash that shockingly today, about 24 hours after this fiasco went viral, James Gunn happened to make an appearance on an Indian YouTube channel where he talked about how much he loves the Indian people and how important Indian filmmaking is and how he loves all the fans in India. Isn't that strange? Let's listen to the first little supercut of this here. Rachel Brosnahan, hello.
How much he means to the people of India, because he really is somebody who looks out for everyone.
Bollywood films. I mean, I feel like we drew inspiration from the color and the movement.
You know, Bollywood films and Eastern cinema in general is the most important thing to me. So that's really where I take my inspiration for Superman. It's from Bollywood.
You can't make this shit up, bro. A day after he goes viral and gets called, again, it's not fucking racist, whatever. Those people, I think those people are melting the fuck down. But like a day after going viral for saying, why should I give two fucks about what a 12-year-old Indian kid says about Superman? Then all of a sudden he's glazing the country of India. Glazing India. It's wild. Here's a little bit longer clip. The damage control is crazy. It kind of is.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I am incredibly grateful for the Indian fans. And I talk to you guys all the time online. There's so many of you, obviously.
There's so many 12-year-old Indian kids that I'm fucking fighting with on Twitter. There's so many of you.
And so many fans of Superman who love Superman, and he means so much to them. And that isn't lost on me when I'm making this movie about how much he means to the people of India. Because he really is somebody who looks out for everyone. He cares. Yeah, what?
So it like, to me, it would be one hell of a fucking coincidence that the day after this story goes absolutely viral, James Gunn is literally getting on his knees and slobbing the knob of the country of India on an Indian-based YouTube channel. Be a hell of a coincidence. Look, I think it's a dumb thing for him to say in the middle of his marketing tour, right? But the idea of people labeling him racist for this kind of offhand remark, which could mean like pretty much anything, just being, oh, who am I really talking to here? Who's on the other side of this? Whatever. I think it's bullshit. But at the same time, I can think the idea of him being racist for this comment is bullshit. And at the same time, think that it's a really fucking unforced error. Like, it's a stupid thing for him to say in the middle of all of this, a week before the release of your movie. But here it is. This is James Gunn's Superman, which is why he has to be front and center with everything, including the marketing, including the interviews. Every single thing James Gunn is front and center in. And he stepped in it. I don't know. A lot of Indian fans out there, I guess. There's a lot of people in India, but I do not know, like, what does a typical DC movie make in India, right? Excuse me. Bollywood is my inspiration for Superman. That's what this motherfucker said.
Which I know a lot of people like a lot of Indian movies and stuff like that, but it really, Bollywood is your inspiration. There's the fucking rest of the world on here. Man of Steel only has Australia and Ukraine, and not a single other fucking territory listed. I mean, Batman vs Superman. Batman v Superman. I just want to see what the India stuff is. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Batman v Superman. That's all I want. Dawn of Justice. I don't even have a fucking India number for that movie. Oh no. How many Indians are there? How many Indians are massive DC fans? Apparently a lot of them. Maybe none. I don't know. Somebody said VR Raid. VR Raid. VR like Valiant Renegade. VR? Who's VR? Get a raid. Well, thank you very much. Assume it's Valiant Renegade. I don't know. Two Penny Puppet says VR Raid. Look, I know there's a lot of people in India. I know there's a lot of people in India. I just wonder what effect they would have at a box office. Superman's not looking good in China. Superman is not looking good in China at all. At all. It's looking really bad, in fact. Like Superman, Avatar 2 only made $56 million in India. God damn. And that made what, $2 billion? We got a couple Indians in chat. Look, I don't think a comment like that is going to dissuade a ton of people from going to see a movie. I just don't. But it's like not a thing that you want to be fucking headlines a week before your movie releases.
In Waukegan, Illinois, came across the lifeless body of a young girl. The forensic team arrived at the building. Beneath a blanket, wrapped in a man's corduroy jacket, the investigators found the young girl. Her hands, feet, and neck were bound by a television cable. She was too badly decomposed to confirm her identity. But Special Agent Jeff Showers believed they had found the body of Vernita Wheat.
The clothing matched the description that we had from the mother. She was still wearing the barrettes in her hair that matched what her mother had described her as being last known to be wearing. She was wearing the green nylon jacket. In the pocket of the jacket were carnival tickets, and we knew from an interview of her mother that the night in question, Alton Coleman had taken Vernita Wheat to a carnival.
While the investigators suspected the body was Vernita Wheat, it was up to the forensic team to prove that the remains were hers. They also needed to find evidence that could conclusively point to the killer. Starting from the location of the body, they worked their way out in concentric circles, collecting anything that looked like it could be used as evidence. Investigators swabbed walls and door frames in an effort to find prints. Figuring whoever moved the body into the room had to come in contact with the door. They removed it from its hinges and sent it to the FBI labs in Washington, D.C. Under the lab's microscopes, FBI examiners discerned a thumbprint on the door. comparison to samples they had on file were conclusive. The thumbprint came from Alton Coleman. Examiners also compared prints taken from the little girl's hands to those lifted from Vernita Wheat's school books that had been retrieved from her home. That comparison was also positive. The search for Vernita was over. Investigators now had enough evidence to issue another warrant for Alton Coleman. This time, it was for the murder of Vernita Wheat.
We knew then that Alton Coleman was responsible for the death of this child. And now we've got not only a kidnapper, but we also have someone who's committed murder.
No, but while at the autopsy to determine Vernita Wheat's exact cause of death, a television news broadcast caught the attention of Agent Showers and Detective Hansen.
The first news that a little girl had been found murdered in Gary, Indiana. Agent Showers, I think, immediately thought that there could be some connection to Coleman.
The report also mentioned something that investigators found disturbing. There were two killers, and the second suspect was described as being a black female. Investigators immediately suspected Coleman's girlfriend, Deborah Brown, who had not been seen in weeks. If investigators were right, Alton Coleman and Deborah Brown had traveled 90 miles from their hometown neighborhood. They were on the move, and they were leaving bodies along their way. At the hospital in Gary, Indiana, local police officers questioned 9-year-old Mary James about the afternoon of June 16th. Mary told the officers that she and 7-year-old Janice Clay were walking to the store when they were approached by a man and a woman on bikes. The couple introduced themselves. They told the little girls that they had some clothes that the girls might like. To retrieve the clothes, Mary and Janice followed the couple into the woods.
Take care of yourself. We're gonna get from here.
Mary was close to death when she managed to drag herself to the street.
I'm sure you told.
She was able to identify Coleman, but could not identify Brown from photographs sent by the FBI. However, the girl's description matched Brown exactly. Now, investigators were dealing with two killers.
We had looked at Deborah Brown up until that point in time as a witness because she had cooperated with us in Waukegan. She had told us about Alton, telling her that he had done something wrong. She showed us the clothes that he had been wearing the night he had come back, when he'd been out all night and when he came back in the morning. So we had looked at her as a witness. We now knew from the investigation in Gary that she was likely assisting him.
Investigators struggled to figure out some way to predict Coleman and Brown's next move. Both murders occurred in largely black communities where the two could easily blend in. And they were quick to gain people's trust.
These were street people. They had that charm. They didn't have to do any arm twisting. It was always a very easy.
Searching for anything that might help them locate and stop the killers, investigators consulted an FBI behavioral profiler. For the profiler, the escalating pattern of violence was caused by Coleman's legal problems back in Waukegan.
He saw the fact that he had taken Vernita the night before a court appearance on the rape of a 14-year-old, and that he had abducted her and then murdered her as an indication that he was responding to the stress of the court appearance, and so that he would continue to murder out of anger and stress and rage.
Investigators had reason to fear that the two murders were only the beginning of a ferocious crime spree. To capture a serial killer, the profiler suggested a massive national media campaign aimed at the black communities.
So we started a publicity campaign, releasing his photograph, releasing pictures of Brown to the media, press releases, everything we could to get his picture out in the forefront. Our hope was that somebody would see him and turn him in.
But the task force was always a step behind. On July 8th, agents received information from local Ohio detectives about an elderly woman named Rose Wiggins who reported her daughter missing. Rose explained that earlier in the day she had come by to check on her daughter and found the door locked. Her young grandson, James, was too frightened to open the door. The detective convinced him they were there to help. Now he had nothing to fear. Officers immediately started to search the house for the boy's missing mother. While looking, they found 3-year-old Johnny, afraid like his older brother. Meanwhile, James told the detective about the man and woman who had been at their house.
They were in this house.
He showed the 8-year-old photos of the suspects, Coleman and Brown.
This is the lady, right?
James positively identified them as the couple who were there the night before.
You're absolutely sure.
Searching the house for the boy's mother, the police found blood smeared throughout the kitchen. It led down to the basement. Not knowing who or what awaited them, the investigators followed the grisly trail. In Ohio, police responding to a missing persons call made an alarming discovery. The young son of the missing mother had identified fugitives Coleman and Brown as having been in their home. Blood stained the walls. They proceeded cautiously, not knowing if their suspects could still be lurking in the darkened basement. The trail stopped, where the bodies of mother and daughter, Virginia and Kimberly Blake, were discovered, shoved into a crawl space beneath their home.
Coleman and Brown, we didn't know where they were, and the violence connected with the murders and the crime scenes was beginning to intensify.
The officers continued their search, still believing their suspects could be somewhere in the family's home. But they seemed to have slipped away, leaving behind unmistakable evidence, clippings of jerry-curled hair. James recounted for investigators that his mother, Virginia, had met Coleman and Brown earlier in the day.
What you doing? Fine. Hey, we just moved to the area down the street. What's your name?
The couple stopped by the house and played with the kids.
Yeah, we like live down the street. We're just like riding around.
Virginia invited them to stay for dinner. It was just like any other summer evening in the neighborhood. Virginia cooked while the kids hung around and chatted with their new friends.
Are you going to go to the
8-year-old James saw Coleman take a knife from the counter and slip it into his back pocket.
Soup's on, guys. Soup's on.
After enjoying dinner together, Coleman, Brown, James, and his younger brother settled into the living room to watch television. At the top of the evening news, the story of a pair of killers on the loose flashed across the screen. Coleman immediately turned off the television and shuffled the boys off to bed.
Have a good night.
While Kimberly and Virginia washed the dishes. Aware of the growing media attention, Coleman realized he and Deborah needed to change their look. He found some scissors and cut off his hair. Coleman, with Brown at his side, approached the little girl and her mother. Just upstairs, James and Johnny were asleep.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
They dragged the slain woman and her daughter downstairs and stuffed them into a crawl space.
The pressure was mounting. It was becoming increasingly stressful because here we were for the fourth time catching up with him when we found more bodies.
Coleman and Brown's MO was designed to catch their victims off guard.
When someone comes up to your house on a bicycle, you figure them to be local. If they're walking, you may be a little bit suspicious. But if they're riding a bike,
I'm Dr. Dunn.
And I'm Dr. Broughton with Light Dental Studios.
And I'm Raylan. Our studio helps patients keep up with the latest dental trends. And everything is done in-house, saving time and money. We're Light Dental Studios.
A different kind of dental office.
To tell the truth, the whole truth.
You're here because of me. You listen my name, you say, oh yeah.
And nothing but the truth.
You looking in the wrong spot over here. Oh yeah, sure. You told me that.
What are you waiting for?
I've heard sillier stuff from my 15-year-old and my 17-year-old, with all due respect to both of you.
I got 20/20 live vision, and I'm looking right at you.
Watch Judge Nosy today on the Roku channel.
It never occurred to me that we would not capture the escape beach. I felt confident we would. It did occur to me that it would be an absolute miracle if we did so without any great harm coming to some innocent citizen.
Once in a while, when you've had enough, you've got to take action. You've made your points, they understand your position, and yet nothing changes.
Welcome to Hollywood. Let's go. Where your favorite celebrities and family members battle it out in the kitchen.
If we lose, I want to kill her. What'd you guys make? The winning meal. That's shame.
neighborhood, your guard is automatically down.
News of the murdered mother and daughter horrified the community. The savage nature of the killings caused the FBI to add an 11th position on their 10 most wanted fugitives list. It was a rare occurrence. The number 11 ranking was reserved for particularly vicious killers, a description fitting Coleman and Brown.
The magnitude and the importance of it, that, you know, you've already got 10 that are bad, but here's one that's so bad, but we don't have room to put anybody else on. We're going to make an exception and put him on anyway, even though he's number 11.
With the national media spotlight focusing on the couple, It would be difficult for them to remain anonymous.
And in solving fugitive cases, finding people, there is nothing better than publicity, because all you need is the one phone call from one person saying, I saw this picture and I know it's this individual.
Phone calls poured in with more frequency and speed than ever before. Any crime that matched their suspect's MO was funneled back to the task force headquarters. Hopefully, they would be able to get one step ahead of the fugitives. Investigators were sure that Coleman and Brown would tire of a life on the run and return to familiar territory. Agents contacted everyone the two associated with in Waukegan.
We would contact them and let them know that we're still looking for them. We would go out and tell them that Alton and Deborah had been involved in another murder case, hoping that that would get them a little bit more on our side.
On July 13th, local investigators responded to a frantic 911 call from a suburb of Cincinnati, Ohio. Michelle Stone told the officers what had happened that day.
They were both young.
A couple arrived at the Stones' house earlier that morning. They told Michelle's father, Jack Stone, that they were interested in buying his camper, which was for sale in the driveway. Jack's wife, Anna, joined them on the porch. Jack and Anna chatted with him. Michelle left for work.
You'll be home for dinner? Yeah. All right.
Be careful,
Mom. Bye-bye.
I remember I didn't really see them.
When she arrived home later that day, Michelle noticed the bikes the couple had arrived on were still in the yard. And her father's car was missing.
Mom?
Inside, she found her parents' home had been vandalized.
Mom?
She had called out to her mother and father. Hearing no response, her mind began to race as she stepped through the shattered glass and overturned furniture littering the room.
Dad?
As she called 911, Michelle could hear a weak voice calling out from another room.
Dad?
Next to the basement door, she noticed a bloody palm print.
Dad? Dad, are you here?
She walked down into the dimly lit room, not knowing what or who she might find. Lying next to each other, motionless on the floor, she discovered her parents. Her father, Jack, was barely alive. As she reached to take her mother's pulse, she lifted the sheet. Her mother, Anna, was dead. Michelle waited by her father's side for help to arrive.
My mom had a sheet over her body.
The parents had been bludgeoned and bound. Michelle's description of the couple that had stopped by her parents' house earlier that day matched the fugitives, Coleman and Brown. A forensic team went to work collecting evidence. Among the items was a pair of plastic shoes next to Anna Stone. A recent sighting of the suspects included a description of Brown wearing these same shoes. Crime scene technicians also retrieved other bloodied tools found around the body. Later, forensics confirmed the crowbar was used to kill Mrs. Stone. Coleman's prints were all over it. He made no attempt to conceal his crimes. But there was nothing to suggest where the couple had gone.
It was all dead end.